they did shoot at the same time, and they did trade guest stars and things like that. But oh, by the way, here's an interesting bit of trivia. Martin Landau, who played Roland Hand on that show, was originally going to play Spock, but that's a whole thing for a different time. And king of tangents, I guess I am. But the character, one of the characters on Mission, which is played by Peter Lupus, was a guy named Willie, and he was kind of the muscle of the show, and he didn't get a lot of screen time. And you watch the pilot of Mission Impossible before it had its iconic character of Jim Phelps, played by Peter Graves. You had Stephen Hill, played by Dan Briggs, played by Stephen Hill, in that pilot episode. And Willie was just great because he wasn't overplaying his character. He wasn't making gestures or looks that like a lead would, and he was just there and did his part excellently. And then in later seasons, he tried to, be more of a lead, and given, I guess, the writers were, well, I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. My brain's not clear enough to tie the connections here today, but, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. But yeah, he just, it wasn't quite his strong suit there when he started and playing. He was playing his part up in the later seasons, basically, where he shouldn't have, is what I'm trying to say. And that's the great thing about Worf, is he did become more important and more prominent in the show, but yet it worked. It was a perfect transition from Worf early on, just this background guy, soft-spoken, to later being one of the most iconic characters of Next Gen. So Michael Dorn, great actor. I'm looking forward to seeing him in DS9, because I haven't picked up DS9 since I last talked to you, which I was in Season 3 of DS9 at the time. But you look at one of the episodes that a lot of people have problems with, The Naked Now. That's one of my favorite episodes. I mean, you look at Encounter at Farpoint. Sure, I've insulted that episode before, but I love it anyway. I understand what's wrong with Naked Now. I understand why you don't like it, and that's fine. But personally, I dig it like crazy. And it would just be interesting to see. Before I make that point, if I ever get around to it after making the next one that just entered my mind, and boy, if I'm talking like this, how do I remember anything to mention what I'm talking about? But, you look at, oh man, I completely forgot what I was talking about. Just imagine with me for a second that TNG only did last for one season. It was sort of that spin-off show that didn't last very long. Like it was the Galactica 1980 of the Star Trek franchise. And nothing came of it. All we would have were those original 26 episodes, and we'd be going, or at least some of us anyway. I think I'd still love it. I think I'd be very upset that it would have been canceled. Now that we have 7 seasons of a show that was done 15 years ago to look back on, we can sort of see episodes like Naked Now and laugh at it and have fun with it, and know that there are episodes like Best of Both Worlds and The Inner Light in that same series. You just have fun with the contrast of it. But if all you had was TNG season 1 back in the day, and that's all you would have now, you'd probably scrutinize it a lot more. And I don't know. For me personally, I think if all we did have was TNG season 1, I'd still dig it just as much, I guess. But there wouldn't be that appreciation for it, as you would see how the show would go. And something I've been fascinated with for years is the changes in between seasons of shows, whether it be the original series, although there really wasn't any of that. Not as much in TOS. I think maybe because it was a 3-season deal, but I think a lot of it in TNG has to do with the uniform change as well. As you got from the synthesized late 1980s, and then you got into the more organic 90s, and I don't know, it's still synthesized back then, but as far as all the as far as how they did the soundtracks on the show. But that's one thing that I do indeed love about early TNG is the music. There's something so deeply captivating to me about those old keyboard sounds, those synthesizers. I love it. Let me play you a scene from Where No One Has Gone Before. That kind of music just turns me on like nothing else, I tell you. It is just absolutely beautiful. it's got a majesty about it that's just great.
You look tense, Jean-Luc. Come and have a cup of tea. I'll make it good and strong, the way you like it.
Maman?
We will have a nice, long talk.
This can't be. You've been...
Dead, but I'm always with you. You know that.
Yes. I felt that. But why now? Suddenly.
You mean out here? As what you say is the end of the universe? Or do you see this as the beginning of it?
We believe it, the outer rim. Maman, do you understand these things? Can you tell me where my ship is? What is this place?
Captain, you were reported headed for...
Just a moment, number one.
Can I help you, sir?
No. No. Let's help all of us.
So whenever they've got sounds like that going on, it's just it's a vibe I really like. And you've got early Patrick Stewart, who's cranky, you know, a little bit more swag going on. I can't believe I just said that word, but I don't mean that as if to say that, you know, Picard's not. But you know what I mean. He was more of a cranky bastard type guy in the early season. And it's such a contrast to the diplomat that he became later. I mean, watch The Last Outpost. In that episode, Troy is giving Picard advice on how to, you know, diplomatic advice. And of course, Picard would already know what to do in that sort of situation. In that episode, maybe I'll track down that clip and I'll play that right now. Actually.
So, while we still have some power left, it's time for difficult decisions. Opinions, please.
I say put all available power into a full-out combined phaser and photon torpedo salvo. Destroy their ability to sustain this force field, sir.
Yes. Hit them hard and hit them fast.
Impractical. And provocative. Even assuming that we have the power to sustain such a tactic.
But, Captain, isn't firing on us an act of war?
The facts are the Ferengis did fire on us, but we were chasing them. Since then, all they've done is search our computers, trying to learn who and what we are.
Your point, Counsel.
Let's talk to them.
It's been tried. No response.
But did we tell them anything they wanted to hear?
The Forge. Other opinions? Thank you for your advice. Will.
But you see Picard in the later seasons, and he's talking with a Romulan or whatever. I mean, even later on in season 1, Picard knows exactly how to do stuff. But I think that episode, The Last Outpost, is the first time we saw a glimpse of any diplomatic zeal that Picard may have, and that became one of the main attributes of the character. But I don't think that's how they. I think more than a lot of shows, season 1 really did not know what it was going to become, and that's the great thing about doing a show, is you don't know where it's going to go. And hopefully that's what will happen with this podcast, because I sort of feel that this one was a little rough. My rambling off to you here, but I've been having some health issues, I suppose you could say. Boy, what a bummer to hear that. But yeah, doing this podcast is something I really, really want to do, whether I feel like it or not, because that's the battle in life sometimes, is you're wanting to do it, or feeling like it, physically, emotionally,